Hey, it's Kelly from MXHideout. In the first video of this YZ250 project series, we got the bike running after sitting a long time, and now it sounded like it was running pretty rich. So come along with me as we try and troubleshoot, diagnose, and get this bike tuned up so that it runs just as good or better than new. I have some ideas, but I have no idea how this is gonna go, so what you're seeing is what I'm seeing for the first time too. I did check the float when I had the carb apart, but I still have a suspicion that the float height might be too high. Normally I like to ride it first, but I want to test and lean this bike over, because if the float height is set properly, it shouldn't start leaking out the overflow until the bike is about 45 degrees. So if it does it before that, then it's likely that the float is too high. So I'll shake the gas up here. I'll turn the gas on, give it a couple seconds, make sure that the float bowl is full. Then I'll slowly lean the bike over and wait till it starts coming out the overflow, and note what angle it is. There we go. So, right there. So that's about a 50-55 degree angle. So it might be a tiny bit high, but it's not terribly far off. So we're gonna go ride it and then start with adjusting the air screw, because that's the best, easiest, fastest way to start tuning. Got the gas on. We'll try it with the choke off, because if it starts easily with the choke off when the engine is cold, that means it's running too rich. Yep, first kick, no choke, it's too rich. You can hear it, wow, 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 wow. That's another noise or sound that it's too rich. And what do we got going on here? That's weird. Gonna have to fix a lot of little things on this bike. All right, let's go putt around. Clutch lever's too high, it's kind of annoying. Make sure the radiators are starting to get warm here. Yep. Woo. Definitely sputtering. Sounded like it had to clear out a little bit, and after that it revved out okay. Wow, I could see a huge cloud of smoke there. Alright, we'll test the throttle response now. Put it up in second, third, fourth, go up a slight hill, put more load on the engine. Still definitely rich on the bottom end. Alright, I believe it's at 1.5 turns out, so I'm just gonna go to 2.5 turns out. Big change, but I just want to see what it does. So half, so we're at 1.5, we'll go half, 2.5. That'll lean it out. Let's see if the RPM, the idle RPM should increase a little bit. That might actually be lower now. I think the idle is already a little bit low, so turn the idle up a little bit. It just doesn't sound super crisp to me. It should have a nice ding 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 ding. It just doesn't sound crisp. It should sound crisper at idle. If you're new to carb tuning and not sure how to tell if your bike is running right, I encourage you to grab my free guide. It's the 6 alarming signs that your dirt bike is running too rich or too lean. You can click the link in the description below to grab that. Radiator's nice and hot. Still a little rich somewhere. It's loading up. I'm thinking it's the jet block gasket, because if that's never been replaced, this bike is over 20 years old. It's probably all gummed up and turned to jello. It's not consistently sucking in the right fuel through the circuits. Yeah, way too much fuel. Then it clears out and runs pretty well. Let's do a quick woods test. Let's try second gear, see if it'll pull it. That brake cable slapping is annoying. It's a little bit snappy for the woods. You can see why a flywheel weight would be beneficial. It's a little jumpy. It's going to be very smooth with the throttle control. Mid-range is really strong. Oh, that would be why it's not, it's making a lot of noise. Blast it. Got the brake caliper fell off here. Wow, I guess I didn't tighten up the bolts. Shame on me. All right, we gotta go fix that. Now let's see how it starts. I'm not gonna touch the throttle, see if it starts one kick hot. Almost. You probably want some throttle. Yep. Alright, I just pulled this jet block out to look at the gasket because I thought it was failing, but normally you can tell when it's like cracked or like this hole, the circuit is covered up with the gasket. Just something is usually easy to tell when it's bad, but this one, it still looks good. So maybe someone replaced it at some point. However, just because it looks good no cracks or anything doesn't mean it is good, because if you look at it from the side, it looks like it might be a little bit flattened. And once it's flat right here, it's not going to have a good sealing surface all the way around the gasket, which can cause it to leak. So I'm going to go ahead with this JD Jetting jet block gasket, which I tried a different brand before, I believe the All Balls, and it wasn't quite up to my standard for quality. It was a little bit thin. People have said that the JD Jetting brand one is better, and looking at this, it doesn't really look that thick. So I don't know. We're just going to try it and see if the bike runs any differently with this new one in it. Got the carb back together and on the bike. In part one, I just cleaned it, and this time I actually rebuilt it. I took the jet block off, replaced that gasket. It wasn't terrible, but just wanted to see if that would make a difference. Put it back on, turn the gas on, fresh gas, and I already noticed a problem. It was leaking out the overflow just sitting on the stand, so there must still be a little bit of crud getting in the carb, or still in the carb for some reason. Caused a little piece to get stuck on that needle and seat. So I turned the gas off, tapped on the bowl, turned the gas on, it's not leaking anymore. So I just want to do a quick test to know if the float height is too high or just right. Because if it's too high, if I lean it over just a little bit like this, it's going to start leaking out. But if I can lean it over to like 45 degrees and then it'll start leaking out, that means it's set right. So it's still not leaking, not leaking, not leaking, not leaking, not leaking. It's getting heavy. There. Oh, there we go. Yep. So I leaned it over about 45, 50 degrees and then it started leaking. So that means that the float height is within range. It's not too high. So we're gonna start it up here. Turn the choke on. So to me, it still sounds like it's running rich. Because if it was tuned just right, if it was not too rich, it would have more of that like ding, 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 ding sound. Or it sounds kind of crisp and pingy at idle, where this is kind of just rub, 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 rub. It almost sounds like it's drowning out a little bit. That sounds a little bit rich. But there's also noticeably less smoke, so that's a good sign, because there was a lot of smoke, smoking like a chimney. Engine seems to be rattling pretty good. So I just started riding around for like a minute, and it started to bog out, and then it just died. And it still feels like it has good compression. But, there's something wrong here. Maybe I followed a plug. Let's hold the throttle open. Well, I'm gonna go roll this back, check the spark plug. Just pulled the plug, and yep, this thing is not only rich, but it is wet too. You can see it's shiny. That needs to be replaced, and I'm gonna go leaner on the jetting. But not just that, I noticed that it's a BR9 ES spark plug, which I believe it's supposed to be BR8 for the YZ250. The 9 is for a 125, it's a cooler plug, and the 8 is a hotter plug. The number is just the heat range for the plug, so it burns, the spark is hotter, so it's more resistant to plug fouling. And generally, the smaller the engine, the higher the number you want it, because it's colder, because you're going to be revving higher and the heat of the engine is going to be higher. But like the bigger 250 two-stroke, you're generally not going to be revving it as high, so the engine's not going to be as hot. So you can go with that lower number, which is a hotter spark plug. So I'm going to swap this out for a BR8 and then go leaner on the Pilot Jet and see how she runs, or if she runs. All right, pulled the Pilot Jet out. I had to loosen this sprocket clamp to access that plug. Got a 50 Pilot Jet here, and I would go down to a 48, but I don't think I have one. And being that it's so rich, 48 might be a little bit on the rich side. I might have to have the air screw all the way out for it to run right. So I'm going to jump all the way down to a 45 and see how it runs. All right, I'm going to try the BR8 spark plug and the smaller 45 Pilot Jet. Engine is cold, gas is on, no choke. Wow, that is hard to kick over. Let's turn the choke on. Sounds a little bit better. Still maybe a little rich though. Has a little more of that pinging. Ting, 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 ting. Really snappy right off idle. Feels like it has a little bit better throttle response. Alright, it's pretty well warmed up now. Radiator is pretty hot. Let's see how it starts hot. No throttle. That is good. That is how it should start. Although, it's still... I need to adjust the idle, because when you go leaner on the Pilot Jet circuit, the idle is going to rise up because it's leaner. So I got to bring the idle back down. But you know it's jetted really close when the engine is fully warmed up and it starts easy without touching the throttle. I'm gonna put that back around. Yeah, this is definitely more responsive off the low end by going leaner on the Pilot Jet circuit. This thing was jetted way too rich with that 50 Pilot Jet, and even the stock 48 is too rich. Quite frankly, the 45 might be too rich. I still need to dial in that air screw. I could go leaner on the air screw, and if it continues to run better as I go leaner on the air screw, I'm going to go smaller on the Pilot Jet down to that 42, because from my experience, like tuning KTM 252 strokes with the same size Kean PWK 38mm carb, they tend to like that 38 to 40 Pilot Jet. So that's why I'm surprised that stock is 48 on this. That just sounded really rich to me. Because generally, the bigger the engine is, the better it can suck in more fuel, so the leaner the jetting needs to be, assuming the carb is the same size. So for example, a 125 two-stroke with a 38mm carb may need a 45 Pilot Jet, while a 252 stroke with the same 38mm carb may only need a 40 or 42 Pilot Jet, because it's a bigger pump, it's sucking in more fuel. If you'd like to know the 6 alarming signs that your dirt bike is running too rich or too lean, I got a free guide. You can download that in the description below. So it turns out I checked the air screw setting and it was at 2.5 out, which is about as far out as you want to go, about the leanest setting. So I just turned it in all the way to half a turn out, which is about the richest setting you want. See how it starts and idles and runs. And of course, going richer, it's gonna idle lower. So I'm gonna turn the idle up a little bit. Yeah, and that's too rich because I'm turning it in, raising it, and the idle's still not going up. So it is too rich. With that said, I want to test ride it like that. Yeah, it just wants to keep dying. It's too rich. See, this is what it does even when you turn the idle screw in. When it's too rich, it just wants to keep dropping down too low, and it's going to smoke considerably more. Still has decent torque and throttle response right off of idle, but I can tell it's getting more fuel. It doesn't have that really sharp responding sound. It's just kind of blah, 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 instead of brah, 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 blah, 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 blah. So I'm gonna go back leaner out to 2.5 turns just to compare. We're at 0 turns. I turned it all the way in, so half, 1, half, 2, half. Let's just try 3 full turns out. Now the idle's gonna be high, probably too high. Oh, it probably has too much fuel still in it. More snappy. It's got some power. Definitely need to flywheel weight for the woods though. I'm impressed with how plush the suspension feels for a motocross bike. Well, I have found a problem with this thing. I started with the compression. It tested out at 210 PSI. That seemed good. I went through the carb, cleaned it. I changed the jetting and went leaner on the pilot, lowered the float height. I replaced the jet block gasket. Oh yeah, and new spark plug. I went to the proper spark plug, BR8, and it was still running a little bit rich off of bottom end. I'm like, man, do I really need to go that much leaner on the jetting? Because it was, I believe, 50 all the way down to 42, I think I'm at right now. I'm like, there's only one more thing to check other than the electrical. Can you think of what it is? Yep, it is the reeds. Look at, oh, hang on. Look at that. That reed is nice and chipped, causing a compression leak. Because when it fouled, because when it fouled at one time, it fouled really quick. Actually, it fouled pretty quick 2 times, and I'm like, man, I shouldn't do that with this lean of jetting. And after like trying to restart the bike, it felt like it had a little bit less compression. I'm like, But then when I put into a spark plug in, it still ran great. So I'm like, well, is it really low on compression when I just tested it like with only a half-hour riding? Well, the reeds came to mind, because if there's a crack or chip in the reeds like that is right there, it will cause a low compression symptom. Well, it will have less compression because it's not sealing properly. So got some new reeds. We're gonna throw those in, see how it runs after that. Engine's cold. New reeds. Air screw is at 3 turns out, so we're going to turn it in to 2.5, 2, 1. We'll see how that goes. Second gear. Shift down to first. Oh, it did stall. But that's pretty good. It's a noticeable difference. Let's see how it starts. First kick. So jetting is really close. Air screws at 1 turn out. I could probably go up on the pilot jet. I think it's still a tiny bit lean, but since it's 45 degrees out, maybe 50, I think I'll leave it for now. This could be really bad. Cleo, it's okay. So it does seem to run really well right off idle now, but I think it's still loading up. I'm guessing it's because of that needle that people don't like, the stock needle. Got some power. Well, I got a couple hours of riding in, and this thing is really close. I could probably go a little bit leaner, or sorry, a little bit richer on the air screw, but with the warmer temperature, it's almost perfect here in Arizona. And then the needle, I think I'm going to play with that a little bit more just to get it really smooth, because it tends to load up a tiny bit and sputter when I'm riding low RPM, kind of roll on the throttle. It gives me a little bit more of a kick than I would like, a little bit more of a hit. I'd like a smoother transition to the mid-range and high RPM. For motocross, it's probably not that big of a deal, but for trail riding, where I like smooth, crisp, linear power, I'm going to make some needle adjustments as far as clip position as well as another needle, but I'm going to do that in another video. If you find this video helpful, if you'd like to know the 6 alarming signs that your dirt bike is running too rich or too lean, I got a free guide. You can download that in the description below. I'm Kelly Figure from MX Hideout. Ride safe, have fun.